Welcome back to Spicy Vibes After Dark, the place where we talk honestly about confidence, connection, intimacy, relationships, and all the things that we sometimes think about but don't always say out loud. Hi, I'm Tina, your Spicy Vibes intimacy coach, where I help you set the tone so you can feel the vibe. I am in a feel good place right now because I just got back with getting together with some girlfriends of mine. And let me tell you, if you've got that group of friends that just feed your soul when you get done and you leave at the end of the night, that's when you know that's the group for you. I just feel so good when I'm with them, after I leave with them. It feeds your soul and it does something that you just you can't get over, you love, you want more, you can't get enough of. So, but today we're going to talk about something that I'm pretty sure almost all of us have been guilty of at some point. Comparing, right? Who doesn't compare? We compare our bodies, we compare our relationships, our sex lives. We compare how we look now to how we did like 10, 20 years ago. And sometimes we're comparing ourselves to people who aren't even showing us reality. Let's face it, we're looking at filtered pictures, edited videos, carefully selected moments, pornography, celebrities, influencers, and then somehow using those images as evidence that we aren't enough. But here's the question I want you to think about today. How confident could you become if you stop measuring yourself against everyone else? Because comparison does have that sneaky way of convincing us that someone else's beauty takes away from yours. That somebody else's relationship means that yours just isn't exciting enough. That somebody else's body means that yours isn't desirable enough. And it can even convince you that a younger version of yourself was somehow a better version of yourself. So today we're going to unpack some of the places comparison comes from, how it affects confidence and intimacy, but most importantly, how we start taking our confidence back. Because confidence doesn't come from being better than anybody else. Confidence comes from finally realizing that you don't have to compete with them in the first place. When you stop comparing yourself to others, it allows you to focus on yourself. Then you can watch yourself shine. So, social media, that's a big place to start. Social media can be wonderful. It connects us, it inspires us, it gives us ideas, and even introduces us to people we may never have met otherwise. But social media can also give you access to hundreds, sometimes thousands of people to compare ourselves to every single day. Think about what happens when you're scrolling, right? Let's say it's right before bed and you're just mindlessly scrolling, right? We're all guilty of it. Someone has the perfect body. Someone has the perfect marriage. Someone's traveling all over the place. Someone's husband just surprised her with flowers. Oh, that's so sweet. Someone just lost 40 pounds. Someone looks incredible in a bikini. Someone's posting about date night while you're sitting on the couch in your sweatpants eating leftovers. Hey, it is what it is. But suddenly you're thinking, why doesn't my life look like that? But here's what we forget. We're comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reels. You don't know what happened 5 minutes before that picture. You don't know what happened 5 minutes after. You don't know whether that couple was arguing in the car before they even walked into that restaurant. You don't know whether the woman whose body you're admiring stood in front of the mirror that morning and criticized herself. You don't know what somebody else is carrying because people don't tend to show that side of their life. They want you to believe that they have the perfect, happy life. But in reality, we're all going through something, or rather, many things. And this matters when we talk about intimacy too, because social media can create expectations about what relationships are supposed to look like. That constant romance, that constant excitement, that constant passion. But real relationships aren't Instagram worthy. Not constantly. Sometimes intimacy is fireworks. Sometimes intimacy is sitting together on the couch with your feet touching. Oh, how cute. Sometimes it's flirting. It's laughing. Sometimes it's saying, listen, I know you've had a horrible day. Come here. Those moments may not get 5,000 likes, but they can build a beautiful relationship and they are genuine. So here's what I want you to try. The next time you're scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you feel that little voice saying, why don't I look like that? Or why isn't my relationship like that? Stop and ask yourself, do I actually want what I'm seeing? Or am I reacting to how it's being presented? Because those are two very different things. Your life doesn't have to look good to strangers. It needs to feel good to you. So, all right, let's get into the next thing. Filters. Oh, this is a good one. We all love them. Many of us use them, but we're comparing ourselves to something that isn't real. So, filters started as something fun, right? Oh, we were having a blast with them. Smooth the skin a little, fix the lighting a little, add some eyelashes. No big deal, right? Except now we have technology that can change almost everything about a person's appearance. AI thinks. Skin texture disappears. Waist gets smaller. Eyes get bigger. Bodies get reshaped. And when we see enough altered images, something dangerous happens. The altered version actually starts to become normalized. Then you look in the mirror and you see pores, lines, textures, stretch marks, cellulite, a stomach that moves when you sit down. And then you start thinking something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're comparing a human body to an edited image. And I think we need to talk about what this does to your intimacy. Because when you're constantly looking for your flaws, it's difficult to be present. Instead of thinking, oh God, this feels so good, you're thinking, can they see my stomach? Does my body look weird from this angle? Are they noticing my cellulite? Wait, should I turn off the lights? You're physically there, but mentally you're somewhere else, standing outside of your own body, judging it. And pleasure requires presence. Connection requires presence. You cannot fully experience a moment when you're simultaneously trying to watch yourself having it. Your partner isn't looking at you through an Instagram filter. They're experiencing you, your warmth, your touch, your smell, your expressions, your energy, your body. The things that make you human are often the same things that make intimacy intimate. So maybe instead of asking, how do I make myself look perfect? We start asking, how do I become comfortable enough in my own body to actually enjoy being in it? That's a completely different kind of confidence. So, all right, let's get into something that may not always be talked about, but it's going to be. All right, pornography. And I'm here not to shame anyone who watches it. Please, you do you. If that's your cup of tea, great, no big deal. But I do think we need to understand something important. Pornography is pure entertainment. That's all it is. It isn't an instruction manual for what bodies, pleasure, desire, or intimacy are even supposed to look like. Just like we wouldn't watch an action movie and assume that's what normal driving looks like. We shouldn't automatically assume what we see in the pornography represents everyday sexual experiences, right? Bodies may be specifically selected. Scenes can be planned. Angles matter. Editing happens. Performances are just that, performances. And when we're exposed to certain images repeatedly, we can start comparing real bodies and real experiences to what we're seeing on the screen. Am I supposed to look like that? Should my body be responding like that? Should we be doing that? Why doesn't our sex life look like that? And that's where something that's supposed to be intimate can turn into a performance. Instead of asking, does this feel good for us? We're asking, does this look like what we're supposed to be doing? And we're doubting ourselves. Those are very different questions. Real intimacy can be awkward. You might laugh, someone's knee might crack, something might not work the way you expected. You may need lubricant. You may need more time. You may need to communicate. You may need to change positions because your hip said, absolutely not. You're not doing that. That's not failed intimacy. That's human intimacy. And you may end up in the ER, but damn, that's going to be a damn good story to tell. Your goal isn't to recreate someone else's performance. Your goal is to discover what feels good, safe, pleasurable, exciting, comfortable, and connecting for you and your partner. There's no trophy for having the most impressive sex life. Man, wouldn't we love if there was, though? There's no judge holding up a scorecard. I mean, not going to brag, but who's getting a 10 out of 10 here, right? The only people whose opinions matter are the people actually participating. So instead of asking, is our sex life normal? Maybe ask, is our intimacy working for us? And if the answer is yes, hey, congratulations, because that is enough. All right, so stop competing yourself with the younger version of you. Now, the younger you. Maybe you look at pictures from your 20s and 30s and think, look how skinny I was. Oh my gosh. That's exactly what I was doing just a couple days ago. You know, going through some things, you find that big stack of pictures, you start going through them. Oh my goodness, I remember that. Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. But then you stop and you're like, look at how thin I was. Or look at how skinny I was. Look at my skin. I wish I appreciated that body when I had it. And listen, I get it. I understand it. But here's what I want you to hear. You were never supposed to stay the version of yourself forever. Nobody is. Your body changed because you lived your life. Maybe you've had children. Maybe you've experienced loss. Maybe you've survived difficult seasons. Hell, we all have. Maybe your hormones changed. I mean, come on, whose hasn't? Maybe your metabolism changed. We are aging. We are getting older. It's going to happen. Maybe medications change your body. Maybe life change your priorities. And yet we sometimes expect our 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old body to compete against our 25-year-old body. That's not a fair competition. So instead of looking at an old picture and saying, I wish I still look like her. What if you said, I'm grateful for her, but I'm more proud of the woman I become? Because that younger woman or man didn't know anything you know now. I mean, hell, I didn't even experience half of what I experienced when I was 20, 25. You didn't have your experiences, your wisdom, your resilience, your boundaries, your confidence, or your stories. And yeah, maybe your body did change. But what if sexy isn't something you lose with age? What if sexy evolves with you? Sexy at 25 may be different at 60. Yes, I said 60, maybe 70, 80. Because just because you're that age doesn't mean you still can't have fun and be sexy. Maybe at 25, sexy was wearing something tiny and walking into a room hoping everyone noticed you. Maybe at 46, 55, 65, sexy becomes walking into the same room knowing you don't need everybody's approval because you're confident enough. And that is something extremely powerful. Don't spend the next 10 years criticizing the body you're in today, only to look back 10 years from now and wish you'd appreciated it. You're living in somebody's future. I wished I looked like that picture right now, including your own. So, building realistic confidence. Let's get into it. How do we actually build confidence when all we're doing is comparing ourselves to others? First, understand this. Confidence isn't believing you're perfect. Confidence is knowing you don't have to be. You can want to improve something about yourself and still appreciate yourself today. You can want to become stronger and still love the body you're starting with. You can work on your relationship without deciding it's broken. You can learn about intimacy without believing you're bad at it. Confidence doesn't require perfection. It requires self-trust. Start paying attention to how you talk to yourself. Would you say the same words to your best friend? Would you tell him or her, your stomach looks terrible? Or you're getting old? Or how about nobody's going to find you attractive? Probably not. So why are those things acceptable to say to yourself? Second, curate what you consume. If following someone consistently makes you feel worse about yourself, you are allowed to unfollow them. Set those boundaries. Make that change. Your social media feed is entering your brain every single day. So protect it instead of making it toxic. Third, start identifying what you genuinely like about yourself and don't limit it to appearance. Maybe you're compassionate, funny, loyal, curious, adventurous, a great partner, hell, a great friend. Maybe you've learned how to communicate better. Maybe you finally learned how to say what you want. That's confidence too. And finally, stop waiting until you've changed your body to start living confidently. Wear that outfit, take that picture, initiate affection, ask for what you want, go on the trip. Don't mind if I do. Get in the pool, turn the lights on, and let yourself be seen. Because confidence isn't something that magically appears when you finally become good enough. Confidence grows every single time you decide you're already worthy of participating in your own life. So here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. There will always be somebody younger, somebody thinner, somebody who photographs better, somebody whose relationship looks more romantic online, somebody with more followers, somebody who seems more confident. If your confidence depends on winning that competition, you're going to spend your life exhausted because there was never supposed to be a competition. Your body isn't supposed to look like everybody else's body. Your relationship isn't supposed to look like everybody else's relationship. And your intimate life isn't supposed to look like somebody else's. And today's version of you isn't supposed to look like the version of you from 20 years ago. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to age. You're allowed to have texture. You're allowed to have scars. You're allowed to have insecurities. You're allowed to be figuring things out. And you're still allowed to feel desirable. So this week, I want you to catch yourself when that comparison shows up. When you hear, oh, I wish I looked like her, or I wish my relationship was like theirs, or I wish I still looked like when I did when I was younger, I want you to replace it with this one question. What do I appreciate about my life, my body, or myself right now? Bring your attention back to you because comparison wants you watching everybody else. Confidence brings you home to yourself. So if this episode made you think of somebody who needs this reminder, send it to them. And if you're enjoying Spicy Vibes After Dark, make sure to subscribe or follow so you don't miss what's coming up next. I greatly appreciate your love and support, and that is one way that you can show it. I really, really do love and appreciate that you are here listening. It means so much to me. But until next time, please remember, you don't need to be younger. You don't need to be filtered. You don't need to look like anybody else. You just need to give yourself permission to be fully, confidently you. So set the tone, feel the vibe. I'll see you next time on Spicy Vibes After Dark.